treatment, including through medical drugs or surgery, are disqualified from military service, except under certain limited circumstances. It added that the Secretaries of Defense and Homeland Security may exercise their authority to implement any appropriate policies concerning military service by transgender individuals. The White House said on Friday that Defense Secretary Jim Mattis had found that individuals with a history or diagnosis of gender dysphoria presented a risk to military effectiveness. The White House said this new policy will enable the military to apply well-established mental and physical health standards equally to all individuals who want to join and fight for the best military force the world has ever seen. Trump announced in July that he would prohibit transgender people from serving in the military, reversing former President Barack Obama's policy of accepting them. A number of federal judges have issued rulings blocking Trump's ban. The judges said the ban would likely violate the rights under the U.S. Constitution to equal protection under the law. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Patrons at a local Boston sports club watched dumbfounded today as an unidentified man's personal trainer forced him to put on an embarrassing athletic spectacle for the entire gym.
Like a machine, there you go.
According to sources, the degrading little show went on for nearly 45 minutes, with the man reportedly being paraded around every section of the fitness establishment, doing anything his trainer commanded.
I wish I could turn around and concentrate on my workout, but I can't help but keep watching. He has to know how ridiculous he looks.
Sources added that the whole spectacle was made even sadder by the personal trainer encouraging the man to, quote, push himself a little harder.
It's like watching a trained seal.
Okay, so when you stand like that, you want to feel pressure in your knees, like this, right here, okay? Okay, give it a shot.
You root for him to tell the trainer that he's a human being with dignity and just walk away. But no, he keeps subjecting himself to this.
All right, let's have you get on your back, walk like a crab. Come on.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, welcome to Free Talk Live. You are invited to join us here on the radio. You can take control of the airwaves and bring up whatever is on your mind. All you have to do is dial in toll-free at 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you here in the studio, beautiful Keene, New Hampshire tonight, it's Ian.
And Chris.
We have got an interesting discussion here, Chris, because you were involved today in these protests that happened across the country. You weren't one of the protesters, however. You were a counter protester. If what was described to me is accurate, I didn't make it out today.
Right.
To the what apparently were nationwide protests called March for Our Lives, where, according to some in the media, the AP is reporting hundreds of thousands of people came out nationwide to protest guns. And you were there, I heard, with a handmade sign that said something about, I own an AR, ask me questions or something like that?
It was a two-sided sign, so I could flip it back and forth. And one side said, I'm pro-A, let's pro 2A, let's talk.
Second Amendment.
And the other side of it said, ask me about my AR-15, exclamation point.
Now, you came up with this relatively quickly because you didn't even know this was happening until last minute, right?
Yeah, I had no idea. We were on our way into work at our shop here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire, and drive through Central Square, kind of our town square.
That's where everybody has a protest if they're going to have one.
Yeah, hundreds of people were there.
Hundreds, okay, because I heard maybe 100 or so.
I'd be surprised, yeah. I'd say 100 to 200 maybe.
That's a lot of people for little old Central Square. I mean, we're talking about a town of 23,000 people here. It's not...
Right.
You don't see that many people protesting down there that often. The last time we had numbers like that in Central Square would have been 2009, probably, with the 420s that were going on there.
Right. I would say that's the case because I had trouble finding pathways through Central Square.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was really jammed up. I saw 2 police officers there. That was it.
Yep.
And everybody else was there. The bulk of people were holding signs saying, enough is enough, and am I next? And
so
just
there were
the
at
usual
least
thing.
2 armed people there. The police officers were
3,
were there, and you were present as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My girlfriend was all freaked out. She's like, "Oh, what if they mob you?" I'm like. She says, I'm going to be the only one armed there. I'm like the safest person there could be. So it kind of was what it was. The reason I said I would not describe what I did as a counter protest. No? I just wanted to go engage people who were so vehemently against the idea of people being able to defend themselves. They have different reasons that they'll tell you about, and they'll all tell you how much they support the Second Amendment.
Oh, really?
Very much so. But right, and there's always a big but.
But people who are mentally ill, but people who are felons, but people who are...
Right, and how do we do that? And I heard that over and over. Everybody who came up to me, I'm pro Second Amendment too, and we must do something. We have to do something.
What were they suggesting? Did they have any ideas as far as what that something should be?
We have to, I'd say an overwhelmingly, I heard it over and over was, we have to do something about mental health. I'm like, okay.
Put them on an island.
For example. No, it was like, well, if people we have to keep the guns out of the hands of people shouldn't have guns. And I'm like, okay, well, let's have a conversation about that. That's what I was there to do, was just to initiate conversations with people that I'm 180 degrees opposed to their point of view. And that's fun for me. So it was, they never had specifics like, well, we have to do universal background checks. And we brought up a statistic, a couple days ago, where out of 848,000 rejections through the NICS system, the total number of prosecutions for people attempting, and the NICS system is when you go to purchase a gun, that's the database system that the feds run your name through to see if you have a felony or if you've been, put in a mental institution against your will and all these different things. If you've been dishonorably discharged from the military. And out of 848,000 odd rejections at the first attempt, they had only prosecuted 498 people for actually violating the law.
Okay.
So, in other words, we have an immense problem with false positives. That's the issue. So, I want universal background checks. Well, I'd share that statistic and say, you're trying to throw more and more people into this, and really, how do you police? How do you require a background check in a private sale? How do you enforce that? And when you start asking these questions, let's say, okay, let's just say we do that. How are you going to enforce that? And there are no answers because it's an impossibility. I talked a lot about black markets, and if you want to, remove them from being legally regulated, make them illegal, then okay, you're going to drive
underground.
Exactly, just like alcohol and just like drugs. So,
which some of them probably have some understanding of. I imagine. I'm just speculating here.
Yes.
Some of the people who are against guns might be in favor of some drug legalization, so they may have a grasp on at least a little bit about prohibition.
Yep. Talked a lot about slippery slopes, and the idea that if someone is declared, for whatever reason, too mentally ill to own a gun, it puts the wrong incentives in place. For the person who should get help, they may not want to lose their right to own a gun, so they may not seek help. And that's a dangerous thing if somebody is really unbalanced. And it incentivizes psychiatrists and healthcare professionals to go to the extreme and assume that anybody, God forbid, if Bob walks out of here and he buys a gun, even though he's not that depressed, what if he goes and shoots up a school? I'm going to get sued and I'm going to lose my license. So we put into place all these sort of perverse incentives that make that untenable to work. And it was just a lot of that. It's easy for me because I'm kind of a gun rights guy, and I've heard every possible argument, pro and con, and a lot of these folks, this is their first time really getting into it, other than saying black rifle bad.
Now, when you say it's their first time, was this a mostly younger crowd? Or was it sort of the old Democrats that had turned out and dragged along their grandchildren or something like that? What was your impression?
It was a real mix. So the conversations I had ranged from people that I would say were in their early 20s to people that were in their 60s and 70s. So a lot of the older ones, I think, it sort of reminds me of someone I know who's just like, if we just do something, then we can put this behind us. It's sort of like
something.
They're tired of hearing about it. So ban something, get it over with, and then we could all move on. So
Yeah, it's not that easy, though.
It's not. And the question is are any of these proposals going to be successful? Are they going to save lives? And I talked a lot today about the war on drugs. For some reason, people in this country get really upset when they see white mothers from suburbs on TV bemoaning the loss of their child, and that's a horrible thing. A school shooting is a devastating thing, and I did not make light of that at all. But when you have 30 kids killed in Chicago, which has some of the strictest gun laws in America.
You just mean on the streets, like shootings?
Yeah,
that kind of thing?
Yeah, over a couple weekends in summer.
Mm-hmm.
Those lives are just as important to me as the lives of students or the lives of soldiers or the lives of anyone. So
was the response, from the people that you talked to, was there any hostile response?
Yes. But it was minimal.
Most people were pretty respectful.
You know how I talk. I'm not a confrontational person. I want to have conversations with people. I don't want to get into screaming matches.
Right.
There were a couple people there that absolutely wanted to get into a screaming match. That I'd hear somebody yell, "Hey, AR-15, come here," because they saw my sign.
Right.
And then it would just be, what do you have to say? And then just a stream of "you're an idiot and you're the problem and this is what's wrong with America and why can't and how come and answer this and this and that. See, you can't even answer one of my questions." I love it.
All right, so we're going to come back here. You can share your thoughts. Were you out in the streets today with these protesters? How was your experience? Were you one of the protesters? What were you there for? What was your message? Because obviously not everybody is the same who is attending these events. 855-450, free like freedom, 855-450-3733, or Skype in at lrn.fm, Free Talk Live.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
You've heard of Bitcoin Cash, but did you know there's now a Bitcoin Cash wallet? The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core wallet that allows you to send and receive either currency with anyone, anywhere in the world. The Bitcoin.com wallet supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available for Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, and even Linux. Learn more at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Crimes of the Crown by Captain Mark. The Crown casts the world in shadow and claims to be our guiding light. Cowards clamor for security from boogeymen and ghost stories. While I say these hobgoblins are imaginary, I say those they propped up as our liberators are now subsisting on our bondage. I say there is freedom in the black, and that's exactly where we intend to go. The Crown banishes its own officers for exposing its crimes and tortures dissidents to the brink of madness. It dominates the globe and swallows the wealth of generations, leaving only blood and excrement. The Crown calls it piracy to explore frontiers beyond its grasp. So the time has come for us to define the conduct among pirates. I say the Crown has trampled our necks long enough. Need decentralized solutions to centralized problems? Looking for a community of like-minded scoundrels? Or just want some swag to let the Crown know what you think of it? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com. We won't be hard to find.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free here, bring up whatever is on your mind. Our number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype at Skype username lrn.fm, and we've also got the Discord on-air call-in line room that you can join over at discord.lrn.fm, and that will get you connected with us. You can get on the radio to talk about whatever's on your mind, but also we started out discussing, we still have much more to talk about with these protests going on today across the United States. Chris, you showed up here in Keene, New Hampshire, relatively small town of 23,000 people, but there were at least 200 people out in Central Square this morning for a protest that was part of a much larger nationwide movement called March for Our Lives. We'll tell you more about that. Your calls and thoughts are certainly welcome. And I do want to let you know about Liberty.menu. Part of what we're doing here on Free Talk Live is getting people connected with the Liberty community. And one way to do that is to find out which businesses in your area are pro-freedom, freedom-friendly. Do you want to spend money with a socialist, or do you want to spend money with somebody who actually cares about freedom? You can find out who those people are by going to Liberty.menu. It is a tool exclusively for individuals who reject the initiation of force and those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. Liberty.menu allows you to list your business. It allows you to list any kind of events that you might have coming up, digital content, and more. You can rate, you can review, and there's a bit of a social networking aspect there as well. So put your voluntarist ideas into action at Liberty.menu, and while you're at it, you can use code FTL and get a special badge on the site. That's Liberty.menu, and like I said, it is free to use, so feel free, head on over there. So you were at this protest event today, Chris. You said you weren't doing a counter-protest, but by anybody's, quick look, it would have probably appeared as though you were. You did have a sign advertising that you were an AR-15 owner, and hey, come on over and talk to me. You got questions?
Yep.
And so you went down there. Were you there for the whole 2 hours?
I got there about 10:30.
So most of the whole.
Yeah, and I was actually there after it had entirely closed out because I was talking to some elderly lady about her thoughts and feelings, and it was just really interesting. And I remember talking to her specifically about how many people die by rifle, which is what this whole thing is really about, versus how many people die by hands and feet, or by blunt objects, or by knives, and how using the FBI's own numbers on reported deaths that rifles are kind of dwarfed by those two or three categories. And pointing out that, and I would always get the response if I threw out any statistic almost with anybody, it's like, well, yeah, you can quote me NRA numbers. I'm like, I'm not quoting you NRA numbers. I'm not a member of the NRA. But I will quote you numbers from the Department of Justice or from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which maintains a uniform crime statistics for the entire country. So these are things, and I can't remember how many times I said, I'm going to throw out numbers and I'm going to throw out facts and things like that, but don't believe me. Double check me.
Sure. Why not?
And that was interesting. I just, in things that are this divisive, I just like to have that opportunity to try to understand, is there something else? Is there something I'm missing? You know what I mean? This involves taking away the rights of legal gun owners. That's what this boils down to.
Oh, no matter what, they're in favor of the Second Amendment.
Yes, they told me that over and over. But at some point, you are going to infringe on people's right to keep and bear arms, which is only a piece of paper protection saying that our government shall not do things that take away this natural right of self-defense that you, Ian, myself, and every listener possesses from the time we are born.
But they have done those things. I mean, they have done all kinds of things to take away those rights. I mean, all of the licensing, all of the permission begging, all of the rules, all the prohibitions on felons. I mean, there's so many different examples of ways the Second Amendment has already been violated.
Right.
They're just talking about taking more steps towards more violations, deeper into violations of the Second Amendment.
Which is where at one point I said, I really appreciate you coming out here and exercising your First Amendment right to freedom of assembly and freedom of speech.
They like that one.
That's great. But how about if a court ruled that contrary, speech that is contrary to the Second Amendment, which has been decided in the courts, DC v. Heller and all these other cases, that this is a constitutional right, that it is now against the law to hold protests against the Constitution or parts of the Constitution. How about that?
In Venezuela.
That's true. But how would you feel about that if that were to hypothetically happen? I'd be completely opposed to that. I'm sure you would be too. So, trying to use other amendments and other rights as a way of expressing that this is one that I'm willing to defend.
Well, now, there was a related story that came out about that this week. I guess it was pretty recent. Anti-gun activist David Hogg, who made, a bit of a name for himself as one of the students at that Florida high school where there was a mass shooting a few weeks ago where I believe 17 people died. He's been sort of the media darling ever since then. Apparently, he's upset at a violation of his constitutional rights coming soon from the very school that he's attending. They have made a new, according to the superintendent of the Broward County Public Schools, there's a new policy, which they're calling a solution to thwart future gun violence. This according to theblaze.com. The superintendent said that following students' spring break, only clear backpacks would be permitted at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. And Mr. David Hogg, who apparently has been making headlines today for his appearances, and I think he was in D.C. or something like that, at these various different rallies, he has now spoken out against the backpack policy, saying that the move infringes on students' constitutional rights.
Oh, no.
So he's saying that the policy change will infringe on their First and Fourth Amendment rights, says that students shouldn't feel as if they're going to school at a prison, and cited privacy concerns of female students who may not want other students to see their feminine products.
Hold on. Half these solutions have to do with, okay, we need to put more armed guards inside of our schools. Mm-hmm. We need to we need to make more fences. We need to make more secure entries into the school. We need bulletproof doors for our school.
Well, maybe he's against those too. I don't know.
No, I know, but these are what I hear from the anti-gun side. We need to do all these things too, plus take your guns.
Yeah, so he's not happy about the turning the school into a prison, which, of course, we would argue that it already is and already has been for a while, but making it more overtly prison-like is disturbing to him. The thing is, you don't get it both ways, dude. You either give up your rights, all of them, or you have your rights. It's one or the other. And if he's upset, and he's rightfully upset, I'm not saying he's wrong. He's absolutely right that this is a violation of your privacy, having to walk around with a clear backpack on.
Which no one sells.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Apparently, the school is having to go out and find a source for these.
Yeah. More coming up here in moments. 855, 450, free like freedom. We'll tell you more about it coming up here. And your thoughts, your calls, certainly welcome. If you were out and about today and you saw these protests or you were involved in them, definitely want to hear from you. 855, 450, free like freedom. This is Free Talk Live.
It's a no-brainer. A Big Berkey water filter is the one you need, period. You need a water filter that removes chlorine, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, BPA, and other endocrine disruptors, pesticides, bacteria, viruses, and much more, right? And does it all at only 2 cents per gallon. Get the original and most trusted name in gravity water filtration, Big Berkey. And now GCN listeners receive 5% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN. Call or click 1-877-99-BERKEY or BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY.
Anytime, any place, anywhere. Radio remains the most intimate of all forms of media. At home, at work, in the car, on smartphones. Over 90% of consumers still listen to radio every week. That makes choosing radio as a place to advertise your business one of the best decisions you can make. Email advertise@gcnlive.com and partner up with an experienced GCN representative. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait on account. Now. Wait a minute.
Whoa!
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You dial toll-free. Join us on the radio. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype, and the Skype username is lrn.fm. With you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Chris.
Don't forget to check out Zencash if you are interested in cryptocurrencies. You're looking at the different options out there as far as, what else besides Bitcoin should you get into? Zencash is definitely something to consider. With over 7,500 secure nodes, Zencash is one of the most distributed node systems of any cryptocurrency. That means it's more secure, more difficult to take down. It is an end-to-end encrypted system, meaning you can send money secretly because they've got zero knowledge anonymity with Zencash, but you can also send messages encrypted with Zencash. You go to zencash.com. You can learn more from their white paper. It is created by voluntarists. They've actually put voluntarism into the white paper. These are libertarians. These are people that understand economics. They understand freedom. They're the people who created Zencash. So go and learn more about it. They've got some of the best technologies. They're working on decentralized autonomous organizations to help run the currency. And you can still get in pretty much on the ground floor of this thing. Go to zencash.com. Once again, that's zencash.com as we're going to your calls and thoughts, as thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands, according to the AP, have gotten into the streets today across the United States protesting guns. Your thoughts are welcome. Let's go to the phones, to the fun. Tom's in Virginia listening to WNIS. Hello, Tom.
Good evening. How are you?
Excellent. Go ahead.
Great.
Yeah, I'm a retired military gun owner. I have a couple of questions and suggestions for Chris, I guess.
Sure.
Hey, I don't actually personally own any semi-automatic rifles.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a little trouble understanding, I guess, why someone would need to be able to fire 150 rounds in 6 minutes, as was done in Parkland, Florida.
That's how many rounds were fired in 6 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah. The question.
That's at school.
Yeah.
High school.
Yeah. The question. That's an extraordinary number, and that would be. Well, that's not that fast of a mag change. I'm just trying to imagine what it would be. But from my point of view, I have this right, and this right is supposedly protected by the Constitution. And like you, I'm a former military, and I took the same oath that you did. Were you enlisted or were you an officer?
I was a naval officer.
Oh, okay. So actually, we did not take the same oath. You took the officer's oath. I took the enlisted oath. But that was to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. And the Second Amendment is very clear that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And that has been upheld in the courts as recently as D.C. v. Heller. So it's at least clear to me that I have the right to own this type of weapon. And that doesn't mean I have to justify why I need it. To you, no offense, this is not to you or to anybody else or to the government. It's the fact that I can't possess it. Now, to me, being a libertarian-minded guy and also, I would say, a constitutionally minded person, I look to that as my single defense against a government that is likely to get out of control. As governments have in the past, they become tyrannical. I want to possess as close to the same technology as my government does. And when we talk about when the Second Amendment was written, it wasn't about protecting the rights of people to shoot deer. It was about protecting them from a standing army should one arise. And that was made very clear in the ratifying documents.
Which the U.S. government wasn't supposed to have, by the way. They weren't supposed to have a standing army. Right. But they do now.
Right. Now, you had the Federalists that were really promoting the idea of a standing army and the Anti-Federalists that were opposing it. And the Second Amendment comes about as sort of a way of answering that, to say, no, even if a standing army were to arise, if we are unable to prevent it, which arguably we have been because we have a militarized police force and we have a lot of military bases on our soil, then the public should have the same thing that they had in 1789, and that was basic equivalent technology to what the military possesses. So there's that. The other thing, and this came up in a conversation today. It's like, well, when would you ever use your AR-15 at the house? And I looked at him and I said, you've just been telling me about how there's tens of millions of AR-15s out there and they're all a problem. How about if I get robbed in a home invasion by somebody with an AR-15?
What if it's a gang of people?
Well, I'm just saying this one example. You keep telling me about how many of these guns are out on the streets, and what if one of those guys decides to rob me or rob my store with one? Should I be denied the ability to answer a lethal threat with a similar level of lethality?
Good question. Tom, what do you think?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, but I'm not a big slippery slope guy, and I'm not a big tyrannical government guy. I don't think everybody with AR-15 could stand up to tanks and armored personnel carriers and hand grenades and RPGs and all that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to the point, I don't have any problem. I'm not going to say I can't personally see why someone would need that, but if someone has a desire for that, that's fine. I think here's where a possible solution comes in, and I know you guys are big slippery slopes, so you probably won't take this with much credibility, but
I love to hear
it would seem to me if someone has a desire and they feel they have a right, which is fine, to own a high velocity semi-automatic rifle with a high capacity magazine, then just like they want to have the ability to conceal carry, then I don't see where there's a problem with them getting a special permit to do that.
Why should someone have to ask permission to exercise a right?
Well, I don't know why you have to ask permission to have a concealed carry.
You shouldn't have to, and in New Hampshire you don't have to. We live in a place here in Vermont. Next door is similar,
and Maine,
where you do not. Yeah, you're right. Maine also changed that, where you do not have to ask permission to exercise the right to concealed carry, nor do you have to ask permission to exercise the right to open carry a gun. And you know what? Everything's fine here.
Oh well.
Yeah. I don't mind asking permission, and I think for.
Well, then you don't mind giving up your rights. You're a person who doesn't mind giving up your rights because as soon as you ask for permission, you've converted a right into a privilege. Do you understand the difference?
Yeah, well, I could see the difference between a privilege and a right, yes.
Right.
Yeah, the difference for those that aren't clear on this is that when you have a right, you don't have to ask permission. It's your right. You just exercise it. When you have a privilege, that means you have to beg from somebody who's a politician or bureaucrat in order to get their permission to do a thing, so therefore you don't have a right in that case.
Yeah, and I believe me, I understand
all laws are restrictions on rights, is what you're saying.
Well, many are. But I just want to say I appreciate your point of view. And people are looking for this compromise. They are looking for some solution that will be able to take to the people that are anti-black rifle. And say that. Go ahead.
The reason I say that is two reasons. It's not going to stop mass killings, but I think everybody recognizes that the body count would be restricted and go down. If you can't fire 150 rounds in 6 minutes, there's less chance you're going to kill as many people.
What would make you think that would stop? What law is going to stop people?
It's not going to stop.
Right.
It's not going to stop. And I'm just saying, if that were the case, that would be a result.
Well, no. Let's. Go ahead.
If there was a law that was passed, or if people were agreeable to having a special permit.
I'm going to interrupt you here real quickly. Can you specify what that law would entail? Would that be a ban on high capacity?
Like a concealed carry permit.
Okay, so somebody has to go take a course. Okay, somebody has to go get a permit and say, okay, now I can possess.
You have to get a permit to buy a firearm now, correct?
No, sir. Not in New Hampshire.
Permit,
your local firearms laws may vary, but here I can buy from a private individual, no problem, no permission slip whatsoever.
Sure. I'm talking about from a federally licensed gun.
Well, why would that matter? You're saying here you want to pass some sort of law that's going to keep high capacity, magazines out of the hands of people, and I'm just asking you, how's that going to stop that? People can buy things on the black market. Right. You understand that, right?
I'm not saying keep them out of the hands of people.
He's saying
that they
Get a
they
permit.
need to, if they want.
Yeah.
They'd like to have a concealed carry permit.
I'm not going to ask
You know,
permission. Thanks for the call. More coming up.
I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core wallet that allows you to send and receive either currency with anyone, anywhere in the world. The Bitcoin.com wallet supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Download the Bitcoin.com wallet for easy and secure access to your Bitcoin Core and your Bitcoin Cash. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available for Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, and even Linux. Learn more at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Hello, my name is Marjorie Wildcraft. I'm the founder of the Grow Network, which is an online community of people who produce their own food and medicine. We are really into backyard self-reliance. If you want this lifestyle, I suggest your first step be to learn some basic home medicine. Just the other day, my 18-year-old son came to me and said, "Mama, I got a sore throat. Can you fix me up?" And I said, "Sure, Ryan," and in about 24 hours, he was better. The best home medicine for you to start out with is garlic. It's an amazing natural antibiotic, and I can show you how to use garlic to handle ear infections, sore throats, colds, and flus. As a way for you to get to know a little bit more about me and the Grow Network, I've written up an easy introduction on how to use garlic. It's at gcnwellness.com. Now, the station manager told me that I needed to say the URL at least twice, even though it feels kind of weird. But if you're interested in backyard self-reliance, you are one of us. Go to www.gcnwellness.com and let's connect up.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and of course you can dial in toll-free to join us here. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Skype in if you like at Skype username LRN.FM. And here in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Chris.
We've been talking about rights, specifically gun rights, but rights from the larger perspective. We were just discussing privileges versus rights, and many of the people who are in favor of all these gun restrictions are in favor of eliminating the right to bear arms. They're in favor of having a privilege to bear arms. It will be granted to you by the government, which, of course, doesn't exactly have the longest and greatest, shiningest history of protecting people's freedoms and rights from oppression, and in point of fact is the organization that tends to violate people's freedoms the most. You may have something to worry about from the common criminal, but if you definitely want to be concerned about somebody hurting you, the government is, of course, far more likely to aggress against you in some sort of way, whether it's to threaten you over the business that you want to run or to threaten you over the things you want to own or possess or bear. Then the government is the go-to organization to crush your freedoms. And that's one of the reasons why some people say they need to have the ability to defend themselves against the government. And Chris, moments ago, you were saying that shouldn't you have the ability to have weapons that are at the very least coming close to what the government has to bear against you? Right. When you were talking about your right to bear an AR-15, for instance. One of our chatters in the Twitch chat room over at twitch.lrn.fm, 3Ps, says an AR-15 has no match against an armored personnel carrier and 50 cals. So should you be able to own a 50 cal and an armored personnel carrier?
My answer would be yes. I mean, what is this? This is your slippery slope, and the slippery slope starts in modern era in 1934 with the passage of the original Gun Control Act that made it illegal to own automatic weapons and things like that. That was a response to what violence created from prohibition of alcohol, and so we had this, and then you had stupid laws that said things like a cane gun is illegal, which is still on the books,
Wow.
Or that you cannot have a silencer on a gun, which does nothing except protect your hearing. These really ridiculous things. Or a shotgun has to be of a certain length, or a rifle barrel has to be of a certain length, which makes zero sense to me, because if the shorter a rifle barrel becomes,
the less
accurate it is. Right. So it seems like I should at least be free enough to make my gun less effective. How could they object to that, right?
We're going to continue with your calls and thoughts here. Let's go to Ocean Shores, Washington, where Gordon is listening to KBKW. Hello, Gordon. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Chris.
How are you? How are you guys?
Good. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Great. Well, I've gotten in discussions many times with reference to why people want the automatic or semi-automatic weapons. And every time it's always the same thing. Why do you need to have a weapon that is semi-automatic? Why do you need to be able to have a weapon that can have a bump stock so that you can fire it multiple times?
Right.
Why do you need to have a machine gun? Why do you need to have all these different things? You can't hunt with it. You can't take it out and do much with it except to just shoot it.
I can hunt with a semi.
And my response is quite simple. I'll ask everybody out there who has a vehicle that can do over 70 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, 125 miles an hour, 150 miles an hour. Why do you need a vehicle that it exceeds the lawful speed limit of 75 in some places of the country? Why do you need to have that vehicle that has a V8 in it,
right,
that can take and go 0 to 60? Why do you need it?
Right.
Why do you need a vehicle that gets you from Seattle to L.A. in 12 hours? Why do you need it?
Well, our previous caller answered that.
You
should just have to go through and get special licensing from the government to have that vehicle that goes over 75 miles an hour.
Then let's do that, and that means that you're going to have 90% of the vehicles, actually more than that,
right?
Because every car that I've ever driven, with the exception of one or two, will definitely go over 80.
Right.
And so if you're going to get a special permit, that means everybody in all the states need to have special permits to have a vehicle that will go over 75 miles an hour. Why do you want it? And the answers that I get is, well, it's fun to drive. It gets better performance. Well, because it's more comfortable. Well, because I feel safer. Okay, so I'm going to use those same arguments. If I have my weapon that I can take and I can shoot, that'll take in bump stock, and I'm out there wanting to shoot tin cans, bottles, and old computer screens. It's fun to shoot.
It is fun to do bump firing. It is.
It is. It is. You can take it out there, and you can have a whole bunch of targets up, and you can just
you ain't gonna hit any of them.
Times you want to.
Maybe one.
It's fun.
Proficiently, you could if you learn how to do it.
Right.
I know in the Marine Corps I could do it.
With a bump fire?
Well, not with a bump stock, but I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Bump firing is fun, but it's not accurate.
Right.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But the fact is, regardless of accuracy, the fact is it's fun to shoot.
Right.
Yeah.
I like to shoot it. I like to be able to have something that I can do with that.
And you should be able to pursue your happiness in a so-called free country. Thanks, Gordon, for the call.
Appreciate
Great
it.
point tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. And if putting a bump stock on, or in my case, I had an AK-47. I didn't have a bump stock. There's just a way you can fire that, which they call bump firing, and all you have to do is hold your trigger finger in the same place and pull the gun forward.
Right.
And it will automatically just keep firing.
It'll start
until you
bouncing off your shoulder, and that's bump fire. And so, yeah, you can do all these things.
You don't even need to hold it on your shoulder. Like, you can hold it at belt level if you want to. Just keep pushing it forward, and it will just keep on firing until the magazine is empty.
The point is, in all these discussions, is they don't save lives.
No.
They don't. You can start banning accessories and things like that. And I was talking to somebody about why do you need a gun that has that caliber can do that? I said, have you ever heard of the Ruger Mini 14 ranch rifle? That was a popular rifle where I was from because it was relatively compact, had a wooden stock, 5.56, great for varmints and stuff like that, and it had a magazine. So you could load a 20-round magazine into it. And that is functionally and lethally identical to an AR-15, but it just looks like a hunting rifle. It looks like a varmint, like a short varmint rifle, but it is the same. ARs have plastic hardware on them, and some of them come in scary black and things like that. But it's just absurd. And you can ban one thing, and if somebody is determined to cause harm to someone else, they're going to find another way to do it.
Absolutely. Let's talk to Daniel. He's in Virginia Beach, listening to WNIS. Hello, Daniel. You're on Free Talk Live.
Thank you for taking my call.
Hey, yes, sir.
If I seem to run off a little bit, go ahead and stop me. But basically, my call was in response to the caller before last. You guys were talking about how I'm so tired of hearing people always saying that the idea of fighting a tyrannical government is so archaic and of the old days, and just seemingly of those tinfoil hat-wearing types.
Right.
When the fact is, we have current data and information on things happening like that today, right now.
Look
and my
at Venezuela.
question to that gentleman, not just Venezuela, but you asked him a question. You said something to him, and the question was that you asked him, wouldn't you like to have the same or similar weaponry to that of the state that you have to fight against? Right. And my answer to that is that I'm pretty sure that those Syrian people on the streets fighting against that government, I'm pretty sure they would have loved to have had those weaponry at the very onset of the civil disturbances that created the problems that we have today. So this whole idea that somehow we can never rise up against the government is absolutely disgraceful that people think this way. Venezuela is another good point where basically the state has the monopoly on violence.
That's right.
And once that happens, all other rights can be voided, annihilated, basically taken away.
Yeah, those people are living in a nightmare because they are completely helpless. It is illegal to own guns personally in Venezuela. And the government basically, as you said, has the monopoly on violence. And now, in a situation where the government's abject socialist failure has resulted in people essentially starving, slowly wasting away, they can't get food. It's not uncommon for the people who in theory could get food. They can't even get it because the truck drivers have been waylaid and robbed by armed brigands. The truck drivers aren't legally allowed to carry guns to defend themselves, so basically all they can do is try to drive away, but half the time there's all kinds of techniques that the robbers will use to stop them, and it's just a crazy situation. Daniel, good call. Thanks for making it tonight. I appreciate it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. You can bring up what you want. It's Free Talk Live.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
You're right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, March 24th, 2018. Silver's trading at $16.56 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,347 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $18, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,765. Antiwar.com reports the last-minute signing of the $1.3 trillion omnibus spending bill in the U.S. is a big windfall for the Pentagon, who will be getting the majority of the money in the realm of $700 billion. This includes 14 new ships, 28 new helicopters, and 56 of the costly F-35 warplanes. This is part of a $61 billion spending increase over the previous year, and virtually every aspect of the Pentagon is getting more money, more equipment, higher pay, and just general boost in funding, which isn't to say everyone's happy. Representative Mac Thornberry, the House Armed Services Committee chairman, complained that the massive increase is not enough to fix our problems, though the military budget is tentatively to swell to $716 billion next year. The policymakers seem to be setting the stage for another multi-month round of outdoing one another on increases. The funding covers an active military of 1,322,500 people with 816,900 reservists and offers a long list of new vehicles and gear for them. $65.2 billion is also set aside for overseas contingency operations, the budget that nominally is for war, but which in practice the Pentagon can readily shift around to different priorities.
You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com.
UPI reports Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced on Friday the Department of Justice is proposing an amendment to existing regulations that would effectively ban bump stocks and other devices that allow the rapid fire of firearms. The public notice of the proposed regulation follows up the idea first floated earlier this month by the department. Sessions said that under the proposed change, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives regulations, bump stocks would fall within the definition of machine gun. Sessions said, since the day he took office, President Trump has had no higher priority than the safety of each and every American. This is why today the Department of Justice is publishing for public comment a proposed rulemaking that would define machine gun to include bump stock type devices under federal law, effectively banning them. The legality of bump stocks faced scrutiny in October when a gunman used one in the Las Vegas mass shooting that left 58 people dead. The proposed change must undergo a public comment period before a final regulation is implemented. In February, Massachusetts became the first state to implement a ban on the purchase and possession of bump stocks since the Las Vegas shooting months before. California and New York already banned the devices prior to the shooting, and New Jersey passed a law in January.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports President Donald Trump signed a memorandum on Friday that bans most transgender individuals from serving in the U.S. military, but gives the armed forces some latitude in implementing policies. The memorandum said that transgender individuals with a history of gender dysphoria, which was defined as those who may require substantial medical treatment, including through medical drugs or surgery, are disqualified from military service, except under certain limited circumstances. It added that the Secretaries of Defense and Homeland Security may exercise their authority to implement any appropriate policies concerning military service by transgender individuals. The White House said on Friday that Defense Secretary Jim Mattis had found that individuals with a history or diagnosis of gender dysphoria presented a risk to military effectiveness. The White House said this new policy will enable the military to apply well-established mental and physical health standards equally to all individuals who want to join and fight for the best military force the world has ever seen. Trump announced in July that he would prohibit transgender people from serving in the military, reversing former President Barack Obama's policy of accepting them. A number of federal judges have issued rulings blocking Trump's ban. The judges said the ban would likely violate the rights under the U.S. Constitution to equal protection under the law. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Hewlett-Packard is known for their basic, no-frills computers, but that doesn't mean they can't keep up with the latest technology. In a press release yesterday, HP said, quote, "We are excited to begin offering that cloud thing that everyone is talking about. We definitely have the cloud on our computers, and it is better than anyone else's cloud." Earlier today, I sat down with HP spokesman Gary Klinman, who said the company couldn't wait to show people, quote, how they do their cloud stuff.
We are absolutely thrilled that now people with computers or phones, both will now be able to back things up to the cloud.
Klinman says it isn't surprising they're, quote, up on the cloud, considering they're on the cutting edge of all the latest tech trends. Are there any additional features?
Crowdsourcing is something we are having. Crowdsourcing 2.0. We have social sharing. We have 5G, 6G, really all the Gs. We have app. We have all of it in the computer.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want. All you have to do is dial in toll-free here. Take control of the airwaves. Our number 855-450-FREE like freedom. More coming up on the protests that have happened in the United States today with, according to the AP, hundreds of thousands turning out into the streets. There's a photograph here that I believe is D.C. It's not real clear where it's from, but it looks like quite a few people that came out to oppose guns, to demand some sort of change. They're not real sure what.
Anything. We've got to do something, Ian.
They want the politicians to do something. There's actually an Onion piece about that from a couple of years ago. Anyway, Ian and Chris here in the studio tonight. You are welcome to comment on the question of guns and rights in general. As we found out, turns out that even David Hogg, the anti-gun teenager from Florida who's become the media darling of this particular movement, even he has his limits when it comes to violating rights. He's upset that they're going to be forcing students at his high school to have clear backpacks when they get back from spring break. He says that violates the right to privacy and the right to free speech. And I happen to agree that that does violate the right of privacy. But unfortunately, if you want to eliminate one right, then you might as well just go ahead and eliminate them all. You either are in favor of humans having rights or you're in favor of government oppression.
I frankly don't care if anybody's in favor of rights or not in favor of rights, because rights don't come from government. You know what I mean?
Well, tell me more about what you mean there, because some people think that the Constitution grants them rights.
Right, and I completely disagree with that. And our founding fathers and framers of the Constitution disagree with that too. They were of the Lockean belief, and by that I refer to John Locke, who was a philosopher in the 1700s, but he was read by most of the guys you've heard of, like Jefferson and Madison and folks like that. But Locke's theory was that we possess these as these are things that have been granted to us by our Creator, and one could also say that they are part of the human condition, that, you know, upon birth, I have the right to defend myself. Nobody granted me that. Nobody granted me the right to say what I wish. At that point, I can just say it.
Well, further, how can someone grant to you something that they don't have? If indeed government, rights come from government, well, then where did they come from in the first place? Was it the individuals who created the government who can now grant you rights that they as individuals didn't originally have to grant? Or do people have rights inherently? Is that something that we are, by virtue of being human beings, that we should have?
We possess already. And even the founders talked about how for their vision of a civilized society, that we must necessarily give up certain rights to create what we've created. And in their minds, they were optimistic that we would have to give up certain rights to become part of this this experiment that became America. And
state constitutions say that too.
Right.
The New Hampshire Constitution has wordage about that.
Exactly. But that is absolutely government acknowledging that they require you. Yes, that they came first, and that government, by necessity, to exist, has to take away rights. So I feel no qualms about exercising my rights, my natural rights, and I really, okay, yeah, there's a Constitution. You print it out, it's about 5 pages long. That's the only legal defense I have against my government. They've got hundreds of thousands of pages of laws that are directed at me, like whether I can label honey ham with a certain font.
But if they break their own rules, then good luck enforcing it on them.
Exactly.
Let's go to your calls, your thoughts here. Toll-free number 855-450, free like freedom. We've got Skype as well. Skype username is lrn.fm. And our third option to call into the show is the on-air call-in line on Discord. You go to discord.lrn.fm, and you can get to us there. And that's where Nick is on the line, calling us from New York. Nick, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you have any kids?
Yes, I have a son who's now 20. Now you make me think about it. 25 this year.
Wow.
All right. How about Ian? Do you have any kids?
I do not.
You do not. Okay.
I have a dog.
So that's not equivalent.
Okay.
But
go ahead.
If you had a kid and they were one of the victims of these school shootings, would you still be an advocate for the right to have bump stocks and AR-15s?
Well, first of all, bump stocks are absolutely rarely used in crimes. To me,
What about the Vegas shooting?
Yeah, Vegas, it absolutely was, and that was a tragedy. Bump stocks I've always seen as a firearm novelty. Same thing with cranks to go into the trigger, which I have one for Ruger 1022. It allows me to quickly go through a magazine and fire off a whole bunch of rounds inaccurately.
But if your son died in a school
shooting,
if
my son died in a school shooting, I would be much more upset about losing my son and making sure that who did it paid for it than I would be concerned with how he was killed. So the same question would be, what if your son was stabbed to death? What if your son was hit by a car? What if your son had a bomb dropped on them because he happened to be visiting a Middle Eastern country? all these things still end in me, the father, being devastated by the loss of my child. But do I focus on the tool that caused it? You know, is that all the only question?
For the freedom to have semi-automatic rifles, and say your son was killed by one in a school shooting.
Yep.
Yeah, a knife attack. Yeah, hit by a car.
Right.
But when we're talking about semi-automatic rifles,
you're talking about semi-automatic rifles. I'm talking about murder. And I don't mean to. I'm not making light of this, but when one human takes the life of another human with whatever means, it is murder, and that is the most horrific crime possible, to me, taking someone else's life. So
why does the tool matter as far as the murder?
It's still devastating, and you know, if people want to fixate on whether I have to pull the trigger and then rotate a bolt to load the next shell and then pull the trigger again to kill my son in this hypothetical thing, or whether he could just pull the trigger 2 times in a row, it's irrelevant if my son is dead. That to me is the least thing I would be concerned with.
Do you believe that the right to bear arms is a God-given right?
I believe that we possess a God-given, or you can say part of the human condition, natural right of self-defense. We have that right to defend ourselves. And not all rights come without risk. You know, the freedom of speech requires that, you know, depending on where I'm at, I might hear some horrific, hateful speech that just turns my stomach, makes me sick. And it may mean that I have to tolerate religions that I may not agree with, but they have those rights and I have those rights. I can't say that only bad people should give up their rights to possess guns, because I don't know who's going to turn bad. I don't know who's bad, who's going to turn out to be good. I just know that I don't want to take away the rights of any other person to defend themselves should they do it. Now, what I heard very little of today was defensive acts, like the 2 girls in a liquor store. This was in the Midwest. It was just a couple weeks ago, who defended themselves with handguns against an attacker who had a shotgun. 2 clerks. It was the owner and her daughter. Mm-hmm. But they took down a much larger attacker who had a significantly larger firearm and a more deadly firearm, a shotgun.
There are so many stories about that, but they don't get the same kind of play.
They don't.
So they took him down with handguns. They took down an armed person with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Now, if you would have had an AR-15, they would have still had the chance to take him down. What can you do with an AR-15 in a self-defense situation that you cannot do with a semi-automatic pistol or basic shotgun?
That's a great question. I can more successfully defend myself against someone else with an AR-15 rifle.
Why?
Well, to me that puts it on the same footing. So let's say a home invasion or something like that, and the attacker actually has an AR-15 rifle and they're coming at me, or maybe I hear them and I see them and they're up in my driveway and they're 50, 60 yards away. Well, I'm outside of range for a pistol, at least the way I shoot a pistol.
Chris, I want to come back to that question. Stand by. We got a little technical difficulty. This is Free Talk Live.
Talk Live. This November, I'll be running in the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, and I've accepted a spot on Team Innocence Project because I'm a passionate supporter of their work. Since 1989, 353 people in the United States have been exonerated by DNA testing, including 38 who pled guilty to crimes they did not commit, and 20 of whom served time on death row. The Innocence Project provided direct representation or critical assistance in 180 of these cases. With your help, the Innocence Project can help even more people who have been wrongly convicted. As part of Team Innocence Project, I'm raising awareness about wrongful convictions and raising funds to help free the innocent. I've already paid the race registration fees. However, to secure my spot on Team Innocence Project in the New York City Marathon, I need to raise $3,500 by November 1st. You can support the Innocence Project and help me secure my race entry by going to run.freetalklive.com. The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core wallet that allows you to send and receive either currency with anyone, anywhere in the world. Download the Bitcoin.com wallet for easy and secure access to your Bitcoin Cash. It's perfect for beginners, and the Bitcoin.com wallet makes using and holding Bitcoins easy. No logins are required. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available for Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, and even Linux. Learn more at Bitcoin.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Skype username is LRN.FM. Joining you here tonight, it's Ian.
And Chris.
And also, we got Discord. The Discord on-air call-in line room is available to you. Well, it will be once we get done with Nick, who's in there. We're having a chat about guns and rights and gun control and things like that. The Discord on-air call-in line room is available to you. Just go to discord.lrn.fm. You can also hop into the other chat rooms that are there. Some are voice chat, some are text chat. And during the show, we always have people chatting in our text chat room there discussing guns as well right now. So you're welcome to join them at discord.lrn.fm. Just, by the way, so you know, if you are somebody who loves rights, if you're somebody who loves, gun freedom and drug freedom and all of the freedoms, then you should come to ForkFest 2018. It's happening in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire, June 14th through the 18th, where nobody's going to care if you are open carrying a gun and open carrying a marijuana cigarette, because they're the kind of people at ForkFest who are leave you alone types. They're people who love freedom. They're people who love liberty. Voluntarists, anarchists, libertarians who are going to be coming together for a decentralized camping event, meaning that ForkFest, the reason why it's named that is because it has essentially forked from the more centralized libertarian camping festival that happens immediately after ForkFest. So ForkFest is June 14th through the 18th, and after that, then the PorkFest, the Porcupine Freedom Festival, will be happening, which is a centralized event where you do have to get a ticket and all that. ForkFest, there's no ticket. You just have to get whatever camping provisions you need from Rogers Campground, and then you're in. But there's also no central control over what happens. So if you want to throw a party, you throw a party. Announce it on the forum. Let people know that you're doing it. If you want to put together some other kind of event, a cooking contest, or I know Daryl's putting together athletic events.
Of course he is.
You just do it. You don't have to ask anybody's permission. Forkfest.party is the website that links you over to the forum where you can discuss further with others who are attending, and also different Forkfest chats like our Telegram chat, and then also the Forkfest chat rooms on our Discord server. Just go to forkfest.party. Again, it's June 14th through the 18th. Free Talk Live will be broadcasting from the event. That's forkfest.party. As we continue here, we have Nick still with us. He's calling us from Brooklyn, New York, with some questions that we were discussing. And Chris, you'd just gotten into answering one of his questions, and unfortunately our music beds were broken there, so we had to run straight into that break. But the question was about, do you really need to have an AR-15 to defend yourself?
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure you had a chance to finish that, and I think Nick is still with us here. So go ahead.
Yeah. My response was, yes, in the event I was attacked by somebody with an AR-15, it would be good to have the equivalent range, firepower, capacity, and everything else that would come with that.
Because a handgun isn't going to cut it at the same range as a long-barreled gun.
No, not at all. And we were also discussing, and a couple of our Discord members brought this up, that case that where the two girls were in the liquor store and they were attacked by a man with a shotgun. And in that case, they struck him 4 times. And the guy was able to walk out and drove himself to the hospital. If he would have, continued to pose a threat, then handguns may not have been sufficient to take him down.
It depends on the handgun, to be fair.
What's that?
It also depends on the handgun and the caliber.
Well, certainly a 50 cal handgun is going to be a different story. A Desert Eagle.
And those handguns look small.
Yeah, somebody said they look like 38s.
Go ahead.
38s, 22s to the chest.
Right.
And still live.
Look, I also wanted to bring up another example of why somebody might need an AR-15 or an AK-47, as I have owned in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody remember the L.A. riots in the early 1990s?
Sure.
After the horrifying video of the beating of Rodney King came out, there were riots in the streets in Los Angeles. This is a recap for our younger listeners who may not have been present for this. And there was some situations, I think one particular one which got some publicity, about Korean shop owners that had barricaded their front doors and windows and had gotten up on the roof of their building to attempt to prevent, with rifles like what we're talking about, as I understand it, semi-automatic rifles that look scary, up there to try to protect themselves from what could have very well have been a horde of people attempting to come in to violate their property rights in that case. And so that's another example where if you have a very small number of people, one or a handful of folks, trying to defend against a very large number of private criminals, then you're going to be much better off with something like an AR-15 or an AK-47 because you can.
You just don't pick.
They didn't pick that fight. There were roaming.
In a realistic, modern day situation, you would not.
This was modern day. This was the 1990s.
Yeah, this is.
I'm saying it's stupid to stand up to a mob of 50 people.
Well, they weren't they were standing up by being in a building that they could not escape from without running into the mob. That isn't.
You don't get to pick all these battles.
That's not picked. That means you're trapped. And in the case of a home invasion, it may be a very similar instance. So.
Yeah. And either way, whether we come down to reasons to have a thing or reasons to not have a thing, as you pointed out before, Chris, it should be your right to decide that. And anything else that infringes upon that right, well, good luck getting any of your rights back. As soon as you let the government take an inch, they might as well just take a mile, because they will eventually.
Right. And if we want to go to court cases and current law, I absolutely just possess every single right to own that gun. Whether you agree with me owning it or not, it's legal for me to do so. It was purchased legally. I went through all the background checks. I did all that stuff. And even, in DC v. Heller, the Supreme Court ruled that the possession of a gun is a individual right, not a collective right. Therefore, me personally, not me, the militia, has the right to own that. Further, they ruled that certain guns in the future may be able to be banned. That was part of the Heller decision too. But what they said were guns that were, of such a nature that they were not commonly owned within the public. And when you look at the AR-15 platform as one of the most popular guns in the United States, it would be very hard to argue that that doesn't meet the definition of something that is commonly owned in today. So,
Nick, any other thoughts you want to share here? I appreciate the thoughtful call.
Right, I do too. I really do.
Well, I would just like to talk about the Second Amendment. So it was written or published, however you want to say it, in 1791. And at that time, became law. My bad.
Yeah.
I'm a 18-year-old high school student.
You're doing great.
So in 1791, the gun of the day was the musket or single shot rifles and pistols.
Yep. You're referring to the prevalent weapon used by the military at that time.
Yeah.
Right.
And the first semi-automatic rifle was not invented until 1885. So at that time, yeah, they're like you have the right to bear arms and whatnot, but that meant a whole different thing. Because now technology has advanced to where everyone is outmatched by the government.
Agreed. A final thought would be is we have had the same number of guns per capita in this country for about the last 50 or 60 years that we know of, but we've only had mass shootings for the last 25 or 30 years. What's changed in society? It hasn't been the availability of guns or the ability of guns.
Nick, good call. Thanks for the thoughts. I appreciate hearing from you. We're going to continue here in moments. Free Talk Live.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want. All you have to do is dial toll-free here. We've been talking about gun rights, but of course that's not the only thing we can discuss. I've got an insane story that really was only a matter of time before it happened out of Venezuela about them hacking some numbers off of their currency.
Details.
We'll tell you about that when we get a chance, but there's actually more to say here on these protests that hit the streets today across the United States, even right here in little old Keene, New Hampshire. There were a couple hundred people at most, which is a lot for Keene, out in Central Square. And Chris, our co-host here tonight, he was there for it as a counter-protester. But I want to also let you know about Bitcoin.com. You want to follow the latest headlines when it comes to cryptocurrency? Bitcoin.com's got them over at news.bitcoin.com. And they've also got basic information for those of you who are brand new to cryptocurrency. You want to learn about the granddaddy of them all, the one that started the evolution of money, which was Bitcoin. You ought to check it out over at Bitcoin.com. Once again, that's Bitcoin.com. As we continue here with your calls, your thoughts, we go to Robert on the line in Pennsylvania. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live. Welcome. Hello? Robert. Hey.
Come on.
You're on the air.
Hey.
Hey.
Good evening to you.
What's on your mind tonight, Robert?
Good.
You're on the radio. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm talking.
So you got to talk about what you want to discuss. So what's on your mind tonight?
Okay. Well, okay, there's actually two things.
Okay.
Okay, first thing is I'm getting background in my radio here.
Excuse me, you never want to have the radio turned up. It'll confuse the hell out of you.
Yeah,
so
just turn it off.
Quick tip for anybody who ever wants to call talk radio.
Right.
Just turn the radio down and then call, and you'll be fine. So are you okay now?
Great.
All right, go for it.
First thing is I use, in quotations, these children at these protests. I would guess most of them are under 18 years of age. Probably not even, that's not even legal age to vote. I'd like to know what their exposure to the world and their experiences are, and their knowledge. I think what they really need to do is stick to their studies. I don't feel they should be protesting. If anything, they should give prayer or tribute and to their past, to their schoolmates who have passed in this shooting.
They did that after the shootings. Now, I got to say, I disagree with you. It is fully their right to protest. Whether they fully understand the issues that they're protesting, that may be a legitimate critique. I mean, but that's true of a lot of people who protest, regardless of their age. You can go. I mean, Chris, you were at this event today. You said there were people in their senior years that were there, and they were probably just as misinformed as some of the teenagers.
I would say as or more.
Yeah.
And to give you a little idea of the makeup of age, there were a lot of children there. There were a lot of 4 and 5 and 6 and 8-year-old kids being brought there by the parents. And there were a lot of teenagers. And then you had, basically your early 20s on up to the 70s and 80s. I mean, it was a pretty broad spread. The majority, I would say, the majority of people there were 40 and up.
Who were more hostile? Was it the older folks, the
40
teenagers?
and up.
So they were more set in their ways, would you say?
Yes.
Perhaps the young people actually could be, have their minds changed at an event like this.
The most pleasant conversations I had were with younger people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Robert?
I think the adults were probably. I didn't watch it because I was busy working.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I've read, I believe there's a lot of adults driving this.
Oh, agreed.
And putting a lot of influence into it.
Politicizing it, absolutely.
Absolutely, but that's not to say that teenagers can't think for themselves and aren't interested in some of these issues or have found an interest in some of these issues. But, Chris, who we're talking to here, the guy sitting across from me in the studio, he was there. He went out to this event carrying a sign that said something like, "I've got an AR-15, talk to me," or whatever.
Right.
And,
ask me about my AR-15.
Right, and people did talk to you, and some of them were more open-minded than others. So if the teenagers that you're referring to, Robert, had done as you're suggesting, which is to say, just stay home and, get involved in your studies, then they wouldn't have been out there and they wouldn't have been able to talk to Chris, which means they may have gone on continuing. They may have gone on with holding the same viewpoints that they held unchallenged, and today they got challenged.
Right. They heard, at least the people I talked to heard a different point of view than any group does when they find themselves sort of wrapped up in that echo chamber. Your anti-gunners, for the most part, I don't think seek out, well, where can I go find a completely contrary point of view to my worldview?
Right.
They don't do that. Who does that? People don't. So that was my goal. That was my only goal.
Mission accomplished. Yeah. Robert, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you.
If I may,
yes,
may I say one other thing?
Yeah, quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the machine gun, an automatic weapon was designed for fire suppression. Hold heads down, move troops in.
Right.
And in today's world, you can't be messing with a bolt-action rifle if you needed to take back a tyrannical government. And Franklin had said, those who would sacrifice freedom for security deserve neither freedom nor security.
That is
I
a
agree
great
completely.
quote. Thanks, Robert. I appreciate the call tonight. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. My dog Rex calling from Florida. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hey, gentlemen. Thanks for letting me in.
Yes.
I'd like to use going towards the psychology of it, and I found in my yard a piece of paper from a learning center, and there's some questions on here. Today I played in Dramatic Play Center, Gross Motor Center, Fine Motor Center, Science Center, Art Center. Today I shared nicely, had trouble sharing, used my inside voice. Today I ate very well, was a picky eater, did not eat. Things I need, pull-ups, wipes, extra clothes, underwear.
Mm-hmm.
Today I was mostly happy, sad, fussy, stubborn. So it seems to me, at a young age, they're training these children to confess. And by the time they get to 12th grade, I suppose they're well trained on confession. And I don't believe they actually have the capability of performing a mass shooting.
Okay, I'm a little confused. What was this questionnaire from?
Just from a school.
The problem with that is there is no school name or institution name on it.
You found this somewhere?
Yeah, in my yard.
So did it blew in or something? Okay.
Did it have the student's name on it?
No.
Was it filled out or was it a blank form?
It was like someone didn't want to fill it out and threw it away.
Probably my homework. Sorry, I told him the dog ate it, but
But if this is what they're doing, you got to wonder how they're doing throughout the 12 years of indoctrination.
Oh, yeah, there's some scary stuff going on out there, no doubt.
Right, and your comment that, they're being trained to confess, well, even when I was in school, back when we, used a piece of charcoal to write on the back of the wood shovel, we were taught that.
Wood shovel?
Yeah, I'm thinking Abraham Lincoln doing his homework on the back of a shovel. That's all right. It's another old joke for all my
too old for me.
All my friends.
Sorry.
They're all.
I wasn't around with Abraham Lincoln.
That's it. But we were trained to confess. We were trained to respect authority. We were trained to be good citizens. To be a good citizen meant, tell police, always be honest with the police, and do all these things. That has been going on forever, at least since we've got this Prussian system of education, which came in with the progressive era in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So you're absolutely right. Just get rid of any critical thought. Just confess. Just say. Or rat on people.
But what you're saying is it's not anything new. You're saying that maybe the form is different than what you had encountered in the past.
I think he's encountering just a new example of how they go about doing that.
The indoctrination. My dog Rex, if you had more, you are welcome to stand by here in moments. We can continue. The number is 855-450 Free Like Freedom. You can join us here on the radio waves. Live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live continues. And if you were out at one of these protests, did you want to talk about your experience? Were you there as one of the protesters? Were you countering the protesters in a peaceful manner? This is Free Talk Live, 855-450 Free Like Freedom.
Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With over 7,500 secure nodes, Zencash has one of the most distributed node systems of any cryptocurrency. Zencash is a platform for cryptocurrency and communications built by voluntarists for voluntarists, with the ideas of voluntary interaction being written into the white paper no less than half a dozen times. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Fully cooked, ready-to-eat bacon. I'm talking thick, meaty, center-cut presidential bacon. Savory and delicious. I buy some, I use some, I store some. Awesome. No refrigeration needed with a 10-year shelf life. NASA-packed technology. Bacon. Fully cooked, fully hydrated, ready to eat right from the packed bacon. Or warm and served. Life-saving, ready-to-eat bacon. 10-year shelf life bacon. Ships free at fullycookedbacon.com. Fullycookedbacon.com.
Tired of being censored by Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Patreon? Well, now you don't have to be. OneWay.com is the free speech and human-friendly social network built just for you. Stop feeding the beast. Every post you make on those evil, anti-human, anti-American perverted sites helps them destroy our families, our country, and our souls. Join One Way today and take back your liberty. Your free speech alternative is waiting for you at OneWay.com. OneWay.com.
Did you know that 35% of high school girls report that they've only had sex with one or two partners a year, instead of having the living shit out of them by any guy they see?
Did you know that only half of all 17-year-old males report without a condom, even though it's really the only way to go?
There are thousands of American teenagers today who are unaware of the full benefits of your brains out all day, every day. These otherwise average high schoolers haven't been taught about every chance you get, pounding each other dry, and never ever pulling out. Every sexually active high school student should know this stuff. Ditch the condoms, because it's always better raw. Stop worrying about STDs. Every chance you get. Just keep and strangers, doesn't matter who. And most importantly, be direct with your partner about how badly you want to their brains out.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Dial on in here toll free at 855-450-FREE like freedom. Also, Skype username is LRN.FM, and the Discord on-air call-in line room is there for you at discord.lrn.fm. If you have not yet gotten involved in the Discord, you really ought to. It's a lot of fun to get in there and chat with the other listeners of the show, some of whom you might recognize from the radio. Gene the Christian Anarchist come in here last night, first time ever visiting us up in New Hampshire. He was here in Keene. Came out to your shop today at Route 101, Local Goods.
Absolutely.
And we had him on the air last night. So sometimes you'll see people in the chat room whose names you recognize because they call the show here and there. And so it's kind of fun to bring people together. You go to discord.lrn.fm and you can get involved. Once again, that's discord.lrn.fm. That'll take you right to our Discord. And there are apps, by the way, so you can do it on the web through a web browser if you want to, or you can download an app for Windows, Linux, for Mac, for iOS devices, for Android devices. And that'll allow you to easily chat with your LRN.FM buddies any old time you want to, 24/7. It's free. Discord.lrn.fm. Let's continue with your calls and your thoughts. My dog Rex still on the line here in Florida. It seemed like you might have more to say, so I wanted to make sure you had a chance. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. I wanted to add that these protests and supposedly discussions are really a distraction from the true elements of the crimes. And Vegas was mentioned. That any investigation or information about Vegas has been shut down. The same with the Florida shooting. There's no information out, so we don't really know who committed the crime.
Well, I mean, in Vegas, I think that it seems like at least one guy was involved, the guy who's dead.
But I understand, that idea that they're not releasing any video, and for God's sakes,
I heard video did come out.
It did
from
come
Vegas.
out. So we got video directly out of the hotel, which shows him coming and going and things like that. But when that sort of information is restrained from becoming public for weeks and months on end, it's natural for people to start going, hold on, what's going on here? And a lot of people, they remember the Gulf of Tonkin. They remember, weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and they're naturally suspicious. I get that.
Well, we got a teacher in Florida that says she saw a man or someone wearing a full face helmet, a full armor body gear, and everything that doesn't match anything according to the accused.
Correct. There was actually another girl. No, this was in the Florida shooting. It was a teacher who said, whatever this guy was who was shooting was in full body armor, including faceplate and helmet and stuff like that, fired into a room. And then there was a girl who also had another video that was out. It's on YouTube. I'm sure it's still up there. Who gave virtually the identical description of the shooter.
This is in Parkland?
Yes, and that she had talked to the guy who was accused of the crime, at the same time talking to him, was hearing the shots being fired. So she's like, no, it couldn't have been him.
Really?
But, I haven't investigated the authenticity of these things, but these are what these videos show.
Isn't the Parkland, I lose track of all these shootings. Isn't the Parkland guy still alive?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Those are interesting claims. My Dog Rex, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Let's continue here, going to Discord, where the on-air call-in line room has Cordell calling us from Atlanta. Cordell, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
You're on the air. Go ahead.
So I actually called in to talk about cyber terrorism. There was actually an attack that just recently took place here in Atlanta.
Okay. What was it?
Well, they allegedly took control over the airport systems, MARTA systems, pretty much everything to do with the government.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Might I add, I fucking hate...
Oh, I'm sorry, but we just can't let you say that on the radio. Sorry, dude. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE like freedom. Don't know what was going to come after the F word, but you didn't make it. Sorry, bro. 855-450-FREE.
Yeah, sometimes you can just see, like, the prank caller. It's just coming, you know. You know it's coming.
It's fake voice. I mean, it was clearly not.
Right, and you just sit there waiting. Okay, how long is it going to take?
Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
So let's continue here. You can bring up whatever you want. We go to Skype, where Dave Ridley is on the line from RidleyReport.com. Go ahead, Dave.
Hi. There is some gun-related news in New Hampshire, positive from a pro-liberty standpoint.
Yeah.
Yep.
So John Burt has posted, quote, HB 1313 passed the full House today. This bill will bring ATVs and snowmobiles in line with NH constitutional carry, which was passed last year.
Yep.
HB 1313 will allow you to carry a loaded gun on your ATV or snowmobile, unquote. Which, of course, it's a disgrace that there was ever that loophole. But we like to say there are almost no gun laws in New Hampshire, but there was that one, practically the only one I know about that restricts gun possession on an ATV. Although I'm not sure the details of the current situation.
Well, yeah, there's another bill in the House, and I don't know the bill number, but I'm sure John Burt or any other representative who cares about it could tell you that it's going to lift is designed to lift the restriction on carrying a loaded rifle or shotgun in a regular vehicle. So we have two laws. That one was part of the New Hampshire Fish and Game regulations that prohibits. This is how crazy it is in New Hampshire, Ian, when we have to go find laws to repeal because you can't carry a loaded gun on a snowmobile. You know, that's pretty good. There's other states that are contending with, we just want to be able to buy a gun without going through a 30-day background check.
So what else should be repealed in New Hampshire?
All the laws.
Well, that's probably not going to be proposed by anybody anytime soon. Not even the libertarian reps are proposing repealing all the laws.
Right.
As much as some of us might like them to propose, say, ending prohibitions of everything, we have yet to get to the point where anybody's willing to spend the so-called political capital to do something like that. I hope eventually we will get some radical libertarians elected, because we've got some pretty good libertarian people in there.
Yep.
They're all playing politics, and that's because they want to get reelected, and they kind of taking the long road here. But I do wish we would have somebody who just put in a bill to abolish all prohibitions across the board.
Right.
That'd be really sweet.
On the gun side, I don't know what there really is left. I'm sure they're out there. I have no doubt, but there's undoubtedly something you cannot do with a gun.
Isn't there a restriction on selling to people you don't know?
Well,
personally, like person-to-person sales, you can supposedly sell to people who you're familiar with or something like that. I'm not an attorney. This is not legal advice, but that's my understanding. To where if it was like a total stranger to you, you're not supposed to sell to them, isn't that?
I think then you would be, and I'm not sure if that's state or federal, be required to go through basically the same channels as a legal gun sale.
I thought that was a New Hampshire rule.
You may be right.
That said that you couldn't do those things. Dave, do you know anything about that?
No, but it's funny. I have photographed speaking of, you were talking about the gun racks in pickup trucks. My grandfather used to have one. I have fond memories of, being able to have that freedom when I was a kid. And I photographed one in Keene. There's a guy who had a gun on his gun rack in the back, in his truck. And I've also photographed or filmed a guy driving past me with a giant Confederate flag waving off the top of his vehicle in New Hampshire. So we have some free speech, some free speech, even when it's unpopular, and some gun rights, even when they're not regularly exercised.
Now, point of clarification on the news that you brought up tonight: was it just the state House that voted for this, or the state Senate?
It's gone through the House only.
So it's not a done deal yet, then,
no.
Dave?
I think the Senate would be the weak link in the chain. I'd be surprised if the governor fails to sign it, since he signed constitutional carry.
That's true.
And generally his power base is the right wing. So the Senate would be the only place probably they can stop it now.
Thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it. Dave Ridley from RidleyReport.com. And hopefully he'll keep us in the loop, or somebody will keep us in the loop when and if that does actually get all the way through to the governor.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. As we continue, you may bring up anything you want. We've got Vicky. She's on the line in Indiana listening to WIBC. Hello, Vicky.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Hang on a second. We had you a little too loud there. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
Yeah, you're fine.
You're fine.
Okay, cool. Hey, I just tuned in, so hopefully I'm not redundant here, but my question, comment, / is, these kids in Florida, obviously they're very impressionable. Have they not learned anything from the school shooting in Maryland?
Was that the one where there was a successful defense?
Yes, there was no fatalities, and...
Well, there was. The girl died.
The girl was a shooter?
Oh, okay.
No. The girl who was shot passed away
first victim.
afterwards, yes.
The first victim. All right, stand by, Vicky. If you got more to say, we're going to bring you back here in hour 3. More coming up here. This is Free Talk Live. The live Saturday edition continues.
Hello, my name is Marjorie Wildcraft. I'm the founder of the Grow Network, which is an online community of people who produce their own food and medicine. We are really into backyard self-reliance. If you want this lifestyle, I suggest your first step be to learn some basic home medicine. Just the other day, my 18-year-old son came to me and said, "Mama, I got a sore throat. Can you fix me up?" And I said, "Sure, Ryan," and in about 24 hours, he was better. The best home medicine for you to start out with is garlic. It's an amazing natural antibiotic, and I can show you how to use garlic to handle ear infections, sore throats, colds, and flus. As a way for you to get to know a little bit more about me and the Grow Network, I've written up an easy introduction on how to use garlic. It's at gcnwellness.com. Now, the station manager told me that I needed to say the URL at least twice, even though it feels kind of weird. But if you're interested in backyard self-reliance, you are one of us. Go to www.gcnwellness.com and let's connect up.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, March 24th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.56 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,347 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $18, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,765. Antiwar.com reports the last-minute signing of the $1.3 trillion omnibus spending bill in the U.S. is a big windfall for the Pentagon, who will be getting the majority of the money in the realm of $700 billion. This includes 14 new ships, 28 new helicopters, and 56 of the costly F-35 warplanes. This is part of a $61 billion spending increase over the previous year, and virtually every aspect of the Pentagon is getting more money, more equipment, higher pay, and just general boost in funding, which isn't to say everyone's happy. Representative Mac Thornberry, the House Armed Services Committee chairman, complained that the massive increase is not enough to fix our problems, though the military budget is tentatively to swell to $716 billion next year. The policymakers seem to be setting the stage for another multi-month round of outdoing one another on increases. The funding covers an active military of 1,322,500 people with 816,900 reservists and offers a long list of new vehicles and gear for them. $65.2 billion is also set aside for overseas contingency operations, the budget that nominally is for war, but which in practice the Pentagon can readily shift around to different priorities.
You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com.
UPI reports Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced on Friday the Department of Justice is proposing an amendment to existing regulations that would effectively ban bump stocks and other devices that allow the rapid fire of firearms. The public notice of the proposed regulation follows up the idea first floated earlier this month by the department. Sessions said that under the proposed change, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives regulations, bump stocks would fall within the definition of machine gun. Sessions said, since the day he took office, President Trump has had no higher priority than the safety of each and every American. This is why today the Department of Justice is publishing for public comment a proposed rulemaking that would define machine gun to include bump stock type devices under federal law, effectively banning them. The legality of bump stocks faced scrutiny in October when a gunman used one in the Las Vegas mass shooting that left 58 people dead. The proposed change must undergo a public comment period before a final regulation is implemented. In February, Massachusetts became the first state to implement a ban on the purchase and possession of bump stocks since the Las Vegas shooting months before. California and New York already banned the devices prior to the shooting, and New Jersey passed a law in January.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports President Donald Trump signed a memorandum on Friday that bans most transgender individuals from serving in the U.S. military, but gives the armed forces some latitude in implementing policies. The memorandum said that transgender individuals with a history of gender dysphoria, which was defined as those who may require substantial medical treatment, including through medical drugs or surgery, are disqualified from military service, except under certain limited circumstances. It added that the Secretaries of Defense and Homeland Security may exercise their authority to implement any appropriate policies concerning military service by transgender individuals. The White House said on Friday that Defense Secretary Jim Mattis had found that individuals with a history or diagnosis of gender dysphoria presented a risk to military effectiveness. The White House said this new policy will enable the military to apply well-established mental and physical health standards equally to all individuals who want to join and fight for the best military force the world has ever seen. Trump announced in July that he would prohibit transgender people from serving in the military, reversing former President Barack Obama's policy of accepting them. A number of federal judges have issued rulings blocking Trump's ban. The judges said the ban would likely violate the rights under the U.S. Constitution to equal protection under the law. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
While waiting to interview for a web consultant position with local marketing firm Bizco, applicant Ryan Ehrlich told Onion reporters he wasn't entirely sure he was dynamic enough for his prospective employer.
When I first saw that the agency was looking for a leader willing to contribute as a valued member of the team, I thought it was the perfect fit. But the more I think about it, the less I'm sure I'm actually an energetic self-starter. I mean, I think I'm a versatile independent thinker, but Honestly, how do you even know for sure?
Ehrlich, who found Bisco's online job posting earlier this week, went on to express doubts that he truly possesses the forward-thinking instincts and next-generation idea assets required to work with the fast-paced marketing firm's team of self-starters.
Can I reimagine a brand for a digital landscape? Sure, but do I really have the energy, skills, enthusiasm, and passion to be a part of this dynamic, growth-oriented company? I just don't know. Oh God, who am I kidding? There's no way I'm on the cutting edge.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the live Saturday edition of the program. As always, you're invited here to join us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. And we've got Skype as well. Skype username is LRN.FM. We're talking about the school shootings and gun control protests that hit the streets across the United States today. Chris, it's Chris and Ian in the studio here tonight. Chris, you were there for Keene, New Hampshire's gun protest thing that they had. What was it called?
It was
March for Our Lives. That's what it was.
Yep.
March for Our Lives. We can talk more about that. Your calls and thoughts certainly welcome here. We've been hot and heavy into your calls, and folks calling in on the phone lines, on Skype, on Discord. You can get on our Discord chat at discord.lrn.fm. And Vicky hung on through the news there in Indiana. Wanted to make sure we had a chance to have that conversation because you brought up the one of the victims in the more recent school shooting, the Maryland school shooting,
right?
Yeah.
Which was cut short by the response from a school resource officer who did take out the shooter relatively quickly.
Yeah.
After the shooting began, apparently one of his victims has passed away in the hospital.
Yes, the girl that the shooter had previously and recently had a relationship with was taken off of life support on Thursday and passed away on Friday.
So did you have more that you wanted to say? Please go ahead.
Well, I guess my other question is there anybody that's, aside from the gun protest, is anybody protesting the lack of school accountability? Not
right.
For what?
Discipline. Lack of discipline.
Keeping the schools safe?
Well, not necessarily. I mean,
discipline's a different thing, right? What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a school teacher for 37 years, and it got to the point where he said, I can't teach anymore. All I'm doing is putting out fires.
Right.
Babysitting.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. But I heard, and let me ask you guys if you heard anything about this. It was either the school superintendent or the principal was very, very close friends with Barack Obama, and he had gotten a huge federal tax incentive if he didn't have any school discipline issues. Well, he did. He just didn't report them.
Right. So you're referring to a program, and I have not checked the validity of this, but this is basically how the story goes. This all came out after Trayvon Martin. So Trayvon Martin was the teenager who was shot by George. What the heck was his name? You know what I mean?
Down in Miami, or
right?
whatever.
Happened down in Florida.
About, yeah.
Right, happened in Florida, and this guy was on like a volunteer neighborhood watch. This kid was around, shot him, and he ended up dying. So they began an investigation into the schools and into the police, and there was this federal program, allegedly, I haven't researched it completely, that was trying to reduce the number of crimes committed by teenagers. And there was lots of federal grant money available not only to the police departments but to the schools. And if they found out that if they reported less crimes, then they would get more money. The allegation goes like this. The police, when they pull somebody over, they catch a kid who was under 18 and went to one of these schools, they just would not write him up. And that the
So
schools
they were including crimes outside of the school?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And that schools would not report all these disciplinary issues that may have resulted in something before. And the allegation is that, you know, under this program that there was, you know, basically a payoff coming from D.C. to local schools and local law enforcement. So I can't speak to the to the truth of all that. That's just what I've read.
Well, not only that, but actually I had seen an interview with former President Obama that he had stated that it was so disproportionate for the white kids to not get punished versus the Hispanic and the African American kids. And as you know, the shooter's last name was Cruz.
Yeah, I'm reluctant to go there. And
I'm talking about Maryland shooter?
Well, yeah. Cruz was the shooter in Florida.
Oh, in Florida.
In Florida.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm reluctant to label everything as racism, even though Barack Obama was one of my least favorite presidents of all time.
Vicky, thanks for the call tonight. I
Yeah.
appreciate hearing from you. There is definitely, as far as discipline at government schools, it's a mess. I mean, I can remember back, and I haven't been in school for a couple of decades,
Right.
but I remember when a fight would happen, they would punish both participants.
Yeah, that still goes on.
Yeah, I figure it hasn't changed. And then you've also got zero tolerance, where even the most silly violation of the rules, like the classic example of some kid bringing a knife in his lunchbox to cut his sandwich with, or spread some mayo on a piece of bread or whatever, ends up violating the no weapons policy, and they get suspended.
Right.
I mean, there's just so many different examples of this. The old there was one with a Boy Scout who had a knife in his car. He didn't even have it on his person, but it was in his car, and somebody saw it. And he got in trouble for that. Like an Eagle Scout gets in trouble for this. Zero tolerance.
Well, zero tolerance is like the reduced version of 3 strikes you're out. Instead of sending you to jail for the rest of your life, like we do with people that commit 3 crimes, certain types of crimes. Now, we do this in school, and it's insane. It teaches nothing other than your subservience to the state or the state organization. Mm-hmm. You do anything wrong, if it violates our laws, that's it. You get no trial. You get no nothing. It's just you're done.
What's that? You got caught with an aspirin? Zero tolerance.
Right.
You're out.
You didn't report it to the school nurse before you took it.
Yeah, it's total obedience. It's sick, and ultimately, the only way you're ever going to have any kind of an effect on the disciplinary levels in a school is to get your kids out of the government school and to put them either in a homeschool environment or an unschool environment or in a private school that has the disciplinary features that you're looking for.
Right.
Maybe you want some sort of, military school crackdown level. Well, there's probably schools that'll give you that.
Definitely are.
Maybe you want a more kind of liberal, hands-off, make the natural consequences of life the punishment or whatever. There would be different options for different types of parents and students in the marketplace.
There are.
If people would get their kids out of the government schools.
The problem is there is such a disincentive, or at least a perceived disincentive to do so, because people feel that, God, government's already taken half of what I make. And one of the few things I get back is education, allegedly at no cost until you go school shopping for all the stuff they say your kid has to have. But that's such a false thing. We're not going to credit you back if you take your kid out of our school. You're not going to get a break on your property taxes. That's not going to happen.
I'm not saying it's easy to do that, Chris, but if you want to avoid all of this crap,
it's worth it.
That's what are your kids worth?
Right, exactly. And in retrospect, I wish I knew today what I knew then, what I knew today. Right, yeah.
So we can continue here, and your calls and thoughts. Also, it'd be a good way to keep your kid from getting shot to death is to keep them out of the government schools.
Good point.
Probably will keep them from getting bullied and picked on in a lot of ways, because that's pretty prevalent. Let's continue, though, with, let's see, Jim is in Newport News, Virginia, listening to WNIS. Hello, Jim. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Chris.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Our pleasure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm ex-military. I'm also a school teacher now. I'm retired, and I'm not a gun proponent. I've raised 6 children, and I actually never felt comfortable having guns in my home. And I'm not a Marine type person, so I'm more the Navy guy. So, but I'm watching, and there should be a big debate, but it's about the wrong thing. And I think that, like I said, the gun was an instrument, but there's a lot of things going on that say that maybe not just guns, right? Because we're supposed to also be trying to figure out how to protect our kids from terrorists too, right? And terrorists haven't attacked school, hopefully never will. But it just seems to me like, first of all, on one level, and I'll stop talking so you can, there are like 5 layers that didn't do their job here, or some are society, but one is the school and the school administrators. And I can't imagine this kid in my school and not somebody not being responsible to follow through and deal with it. So that's
I'm
the
not
school
sure what
level.
you're
And then
referring to. Stand by, Jim. We're going to give you a chance here to explain.
Sure.
This is Free Talk Live. Join us.
What is it costing you in vet bills for that convenience of just pulling open a bag of
formulated, extruded, processed cereal bits that cost a ton of money anyways?
How do you feed your dog to derive not only energy, but a good coat, bright eyes, and a great attitude?
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
I found his raw meat diet on Dynovite.com with just the raw meat and the eggs and the Dynovite and the Super Omega on top of it.
Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dynovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
It just balances out his body and his mind and his spirit.
Adding Dynovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
Their skin is so much better now that they're on the raw diet. I don't even give them the kibble anymore.
DINOVITE.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com. I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. Dial on in here toll free. If you want to join us on the radio, you can. And you can bring up anything you want. I mean, the bulk of the conversation tonight has been about guns and rights and schools. But, of course, you can take control of the airwaves here. That is why we call it Free Talk Live. Joining you in the studio, it's Ian.
And Chris.
And would like to invite you to try out what might very well be the best pillow you'll ever use, called MyPillow. You go to MyPillow.com, use code FTL. You'll get yours for 50% off. We've been using them for a few years now here at Free Talk Live. And I think, Chris, you've had yours for more than a few.
Oh, yeah.
And unlike a regular pillow, this one is washable. You can put it in the washer and the dryer. It's designed for that. It's also designed to fit to the shape of your body and hold your neck in the proper position. It's a nice pillow, but if you disagree, if you get it and you don't like it for some reason, within the first 60 days, you can send it back to the company, and they'll send you your purchase price back. Plus, if you do keep it, as I have done, you can feel good because they back up their product with a 10-year warranty. Code FTL gets you 50% off of your MyPillow over at MyPillow.com. Or buy more than one if you want. You still get 50% off using code FTL. Like Free Talk Live. Back to Jim in Newport News, Virginia. Jim, I was a little lost with your point earlier. If you could try to maybe rephrase it for me, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. I guess what I'm thinking that the media and maybe some left-wing individuals have kind of steered this into one discussion where it seems to me that there's a his parents failed him, but obviously that's kind of what got him into this situation, right?
Who are we talking about? I'm sorry.
Which school shooter? Like
the one in Florida.
Okay. Because somebody also talked about Maryland.
So there was a failure there.
Right.
There's a failure of in some sense, the debate we should be having is, so what should students, when they have a peer who's out there, what should they do? Because there's no discussion around that because they didn't do what they're supposed to. Although I think there was some attempted contact with the FBI that didn't get the result.
Correct.
And then there's the school administration. They failed here. I mean, this guy's kind of like he was very verbal. He was almost looking for someone to stop him.
Yeah.
But he wasn't trying to be
okay, so I haven't followed this case in detail. Are you saying the shooter in Florida, that there were some telltale signs in advance?
Beyond telltale signs.
Well,
so the police have been to his house something like 30-some-odd times.
Well, there is a policeman, but he's also got a school principal administration that's watching his behavior. They expelled him.
Supposedly, correct. You had the FBI, people reporting him to the FBI for online posts, and the FBI not doing a good... And you're right.
So there's like 5 levels that failed here.
Yeah.
And all what we're talking about is the gun, which didn't do it. It was this individual. And it sounds like the real discussion should be about how that failed. And I think the press and the liberal, drive for getting guns out of America, which has really skewed this to being something that we could actually get benefit. Because we could see 5 levels that may stop this in the future if we were focused on them. And I can't remember the congresswoman who was shot. Maybe you do.
Gabby
Her
Giffords.
husband is actually a Second Amendment defender, and he talked about some states where if you have someone who's like this, you could still give due process to maybe taking their gun away, and maybe take it to a judge, later to see what's happening here. And I think that's more the kind of discussion that we should be having, not having someone who sounds almost as crazy as the shooter saying that people who are gun control advocates have, want to kill children. I mean, get that person off the air right away.
Yeah.
So Chris, what do you think about the failure of the different levels of people that should have caught this kid?
Right. So this is a message to every citizen in the United States is that the government at all level cannot keep your children safe against an attacker who is, bound and determined to take lives. Nothing is going to fix that, and you cannot rely. You can take away all the guns, and they'll come up with a different way. And you cannot rely on your police, your schools, your government-run schools, or any of these things. I agree with you, and I talked a lot with a lot of people today about the multifaceted aspect of this problem we have with adolescent males and very limited cases of gun violence. And I'm going to go a little bit further than that. Are these kids being raised in such a way that they don't tell people when they're feeling bad, when they have problems? Are they not getting the psychiatric care? Discouraged from
expressing themselves
well? Are they not getting the psychiatric care they're getting? And why do we just tend to, and I say we, what I mean is the mental health professionals in this country, do we tend to try to diagnose through medicine? In other words, I went through this with my kid, and Colleen went through it with her kid too.
Through what?
Take Lexapro, and we're going to put you on that for about 3 weeks, and you come back and tell us if that helped. No, it didn't? Okay. Then we're going to put you on Valium for 3 weeks and come back and let us know if that helped. In other words, our understanding of how this mind of ours works is so rudimentary that mental health is kind of flipped around to where they're trying to solve things with medications when they don't really know what the actual problem is.
Yeah, that doesn't, then you're just papering over the symptoms. You're not really
you hope
solving
you
the problem.
are, but these drugs, many of them have the same warnings that we hear on TV.
You
may cause suicidal or homicidal thoughts.
Shootings. Hey, thanks for the call tonight, Jim. I appreciate hearing from you as we continue here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. Scott is in Mobile listening on FM to WAVH. Hey, Scott.
Good morning. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, that's all right. It's afternoon somewhere. Here, it's the evening. Actually, pretty dark out. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, I've been training people, and I've been training people for decades to defend themselves. If you're always on defense, you're going to lose any game you're at. Period. If you're always just playing in the outfield, guys at bat are going to score sooner or later.
True.
So we need people that are willing to defend these people at all costs. We just had two perfect examples. Parkland, Florida, people not willing to defend people.
Right.
To Maryland, somebody willing to step in and run towards the threat and deal with it. We need training people willing to do it. Evil's going to exist no matter what we do. We need to stop evil, and the only way to do that is playing offense, people willing to take the risk and stop it. And you do it by shooting, period.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. You had an aggressor who was armed with deadly force, and in both cases you had armed police officers there whose job is to protect life. And in Maryland, you had somebody who I've heard was very, very close to the shooting and was able to respond very, very, very quickly and fired one round and the kid's dead. And then you have the case in Florida where, at last count I heard, a grand total of 5 police officers outside, which goes against every protocol I've ever heard in law enforcement for how to deal with an active shooter.
I was a police officer for 25 years in New Hampshire.
Okay.
And the protocol is you go towards the threat, period. End of story. Be it one officer, 2 officers, whatever's there, you go towards the threat, you deal with it.
Yeah.
And I've been training private citizens to do that for decades also.
Well, and it hasn't always been the case. This came out of Columbine.
The officer safety thing.
That changed everything.
It did, because the old way was you set up a perimeter until you had superior force, and then you went in. After Columbine, you go in first, take out the threat.
Hey, Scott, thanks for calling and sharing your thoughts tonight. I appreciate it. And the toll-free number, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE like freedom. Protests in the streets, hundreds of thousands estimated by the AP, protesting against guns. What do you think? It's Free Talk Live.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love,
and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way.
Love as your guide.
And liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, dial toll free. Join us here at 855-450-FREE like freedom. 855-450-3733. Skype username is LRN.FM. And in the studio with you here tonight, it's Ian.
And Chris.
Don't forget, you can head over to shop.freetalklive.com. You can find some links to some online shopping like Newegg and Walmart, where if you use those links, Free Talk Live will get a portion of your purchase price. It's a one way for you to get the stuff that you're looking for and help Free Talk Live all at the same time. So you're going to do the shopping anyway. Why not shop through shop.freetalklive.com as we continue with your calls and thoughts. We go to Ocean Shores, Washington, where Richard is on the line listening to KBKW. Go ahead, Richard.
Yes, sir.
Hey there. You're on
you
the air.
guys, I grew up in a small town in Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
I remember. I'm 71 years old. I remember when it was hunting season. You'd see gun racks in our pickups where our guns were hanging up. No one ever thought. I just can't imagine what the heck is going on with this country right now.
Yeah.
I mean, holy Jesus.
So
and
what's
I think
changed?
a lot of it is from the government saying you can't punish your kids, or whatever. I just don't understand it.
I look at it as something external to guns has to have occurred because, again, we basically have the same number of guns per capita in this country as we did 50, 75, 100 years ago. That hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But what has changed is we've seen kind of the disillusion of the nuclear family. Kids come home, there's not a parent there, so they have more unsupervised time.
Well, and the drugging that you just talked about before with the mind-altering, psychoactive narcotics that are being prescribed to these students.
To minds that are still under development. Right. At 14 or 15.
That's a big change, too. They didn't do that in the 50s, right?
No, and the number of prescriptions for that, it started increasing around 1985, 1988, and it's more than tripled since then, which happens to coincide, I find, very neatly with the increase in school shootings. We didn't even really have them much in the 80s or the 70s.
And you find out that pretty much every time the school shooters are on those drugs.
Right, and 1 out of 15 kids is under one of those drugs. Drug makers are going to say, well, it's a 1 in a million chance that this will ever cause suicide, but we still have to put the warning out there. Well,
there's still millions of people out there, so it's going to hit.
Millions of kids going to school, millions of 200 times a year. It seems to be that this sort of lines up with those statistics. So I agree.
I agree.
Oh, thank you.
Now you said you're in Washington now, but you were originally from Wyoming?
Yes, I grew up in Wyoming. I got drafted in 1965.
Sorry to hear that. Now,
at Fort Lewis.
Although I'd imagine that Wyoming's still pretty gun friendly as far as you probably.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I just spent 2 years back there helping out. I'm a taxidermist by trade, but I helped the guy out that taught me taxidermy. He was 82 at the time.
Wow.
Okay.
So,
well, Richard, I want to say thank you for calling tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Your thoughts are also welcome if you want to join us here on the radio. Our number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. The reality is there are still some states in the United States that are pretty gun-friendly, right? You know, we talked earlier about New Hampshire being one of the most gun-friendly. Vermont, of course, is another one, even despite the relative influx of liberals to that particular state that happened back in the 70s. And then, Wyoming and other places like that, Arizona. So are we going to see any kind I know there's a big fear that the federal government's going to come down, they're going to crack down on guns, and certainly that fear gets raised regardless of whoever it is that's in the White House. And Donald Trump does not appear to be any kind of principled gun freedom advocate, so I wouldn't expect him to protect anybody's gun rights. But I wonder if gun owners are going to start to get on board with secession if we do see federal-level restrictions being forced down the throats of a lot of these states that are historically the gun-friendly states, like New Hampshire.
I don't know. One thing I would say, and I've been giving this some thought too, I think it's more. I'm more concerned about the state level of gun regulation than I am in the federal level, because we're
on the right track here in New Hampshire. They're repealing gun laws here.
Certainly, but then we look at states like Maryland, which is basically done the laundry list of everything gun rights activists say we should do. They've done 30-day waiting periods before you can get a gun. You have to be 21 years of age before you can get any kind of gun.
Baltimore is one of the murder capitals.
Exactly. It's in the top. It's number 2 or number 3 in murders, and it
was number 1, but I think Chicago has supplanted it.
And New Orleans is way up there too. Yeah. But my point was, as I talked to people today at this very much anti-gun rally, was maybe some of these things you're saying, maybe I'm not just going to dismiss them out of hand. I'm not going to just say that will have no effect on school shootings. We have these experiments going on, and we have the incidence of example of New Hampshire, which has virtually no regulations on guns for the most part.
And virtually no gun violence.
And then we have someplace like Maryland or Chicago, which has extremely high gun laws, extremely strict, and has these high crime rates and high murder rates.
All of the shootings in Keene, New Hampshire that I can recollect in the last 11 or so years that I've lived here have been by the police. The person-to-person murders, there's been one. That was a stabbing.
Right.
That happened here. So
wow. Yeah.
You can extrapolate whatever you want from that.
Yeah, and there's another article on Medium, which I haven't dug deeply into, but it is kind of interesting. It pokes fun at it doesn't poke fun. It pokes holes in arguments used by both sides, saying, statistically speaking, depending on how you look at that, you can either find anything you want in the statistics.
That's the thing with that.
Or if you apply a consistent model across this, which this guy tries to do, you see that there is no correlation between gun laws good, bad, crime, high, low, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've heard that's the case. Let's go to Bad Slave. He's on the line on Skype. Go ahead, Bad Slave. You're calling from New Hampshire.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
listen, I was trying to get in earlier just so that I could add one little question to the whole panoply of calls that we've had in my wait time. Has anybody, and I might have missed the very beginning of the show, did you guys ever talk about the 98% of multiple shootings that occur in gun-free zones?
I haven't. We haven't even. It's sort of like when you have so much evidence that goes towards anything. We didn't bring that up, but you're absolutely right in that too.
Well, my point is that you had a lot of great callers today, and I missed them because I've been held back for an hour and a half or whatever it's been. And
you got held back because you're a regular caller, and we like to take callers we don't know first. And so complaining about it isn't going to help you.
A short thing to be put in there. But anyway, there's that, and there's also the
also
the guy
helps to take notes when you're calling.
I'm sorry, the paddock in Las Vegas.
Right.
I don't think he was even necessarily a shooter. I haven't seen a gun splashback test. Where they test for the evidence of someone. If he fired that much gun, he would have been loaded with the residue of gun.
So you're saying because you haven't seen the autopsy or the investigative reports that have been released, then you are questioning that he was.
Well, they haven't been released. That's the thing.
Yeah.
There's more than that. There were plenty of video and audio that showed that there were multiple shooters at that site.
Yeah, I've seen some of those too.
Thanks for the call tonight, Bad Slave. Appreciate hearing from you. Yeah, I don't know what really happened there. Although some people said that the audio that was released by some people it might have been echoes rather than a second shooter. And there's always conspiracy theories that swirl around these things. 855-450 free like freedom. You can join us here in the remaining moments. This is Free Talk Live, and they are coming up next.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Dynavite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Doggosuds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggosud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggosuds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-261-9818 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-261-9818. Again, 800-261-9818.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand. It's about demonstrating to the entire country that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want in these remaining moments, but if you're not already on the lines, we're probably not going to get to you. The phone lines are loaded up. Even if you tried to get through at this point, you're probably going to get a busy signal. Lots of people with comments and thoughts on guns and schools and governments, and it's Ian and Chris in the studio here with you tonight. And also want to invite you to join the Free Talk Live AMP program. If you support what we do here on Free Talk Live, please get behind the show for $5 a month over at amp.freetalklive.com. You can do that there, and you can use cryptocurrency like Bitcoin Core, BTC. You can use that. You can use PayPal. You can use credit card to get signed up for the AMP program. Strangely, Chris, I actually got an email today from somebody, I won't say who it is, but explaining why he canceled his AMP. Longtime supporter. He was upset because we have Bitcoin Cash as a sponsor of the show, apparently, I guess. Even though Bitcoin Cash isn't actively promoted on Free Talk Live, we do have Bitcoin.com, which sponsors the program.
Yeah.
And so
there's a big voice behind Bitcoin Cash.
Apparently, that is upsetting enough to stop supporting Free Talk Live. So if you can, put whatever your coin preferences are behind you and understand that the hosts of the show have different opinions about their favorite cryptocurrencies, you've always been a critic of Bitcoin Cash here.
I wouldn't call myself a critic. I disagree kind of with how it's being pushed and operated. That's it. Otherwise, it's Bitcoin cloned, right? If I don't like Bitcoin, how could I not like Bitcoin Cash?
Yeah. Well, anyway, people have different opinions on this show, and if you, I don't think you should have to agree with everybody 100% in order to support what we do. We are doing work that nobody else is doing, unfortunately. I wish there were other shows that had the principles that Free Talk Live had and the exposure that Free Talk Live has, but I'm afraid there just aren't. Freedom Fiends is probably the closest thing to come to Free Talk Live, and they stopped their weekday show recently, and they're only on a few dozen stations. So there's really nobody that comes close. Nobody's got more than 100 radio stations. There aren't even more than 2 or 3 actual libertarians that are in national syndication out there at all. Mm-hmm. So if you like what we do and you value the message that we put out there, and it's worth $5 a month to you, then you can support the show. In fact, if you love Bitcoin, the original Bitcoin or Bitcoin Core, whatever you want to call it, that's the only crypto we accept to AMP. So, at some point, I'd like to have like a multi-crypto option for amping, but that means I got to pay programmers however many thousands of dollars to implement that, which odds are we're not going to recoup in incoming crypto. Like, we don't have people with Bitcoin Cash and Dash and the other stuff banging down our door to contribute, and hardly anybody uses Bitcoin to contribute anyway. Right. But if it's the objection to Free Talk Live is that we like a cryptocurrency. Well, the fact is, I like Dash for real life crypto, and that has nothing to do with the fact that Dash was a sponsor of Free Talk Live for a year, and has everything to do with the fact that it's useful and it does what it says it's going to do in the market, and it is the digital cash option, whereas a lot of these cryptocurrencies are speculative and programming currencies and things like that. So if you want to back the show up, please, it makes a big difference, and sometimes we lose people from the AMP program. So don't think to yourself, oh, someone else is going to do it, because of our audience of however many hundreds of thousands of people we have, only about 200 of those people are Free Talk Live amplifiers. So it's really an elite group of people that support what we do here, and I really appreciate it, even if it's just $5 a month. And that's all that we ask for. If you want to give more, you can. There are options for that. But you'll get perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only. So, like, if, for instance, right now, if you wanted to call in, you can't. Our phone lines are loaded up. AMP lines are wide open. So we've got those. The AMP-only podcast, which doesn't have the regular commercials that our normal podcast does. You get access to special AMP perks like the AMP-only Facebook group, for those of you still using Facebook, and then also the AMP-only Discord chats, which are available as well. And there's more perks. You can get the full details over at amp.freetalklive.com, amp.freetalklive.com. As we continue, let's go to your calls and thoughts. We'll start with Aaron calling from Mobile, listening to WAVH-FM. Hello, Aaron.
Yes, sir. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
That's what we do. Go for it.
I appreciate your point of view in the previous caller about the AR-15. I'd like to first make a point is I get to serve with a nonprofit that we're putting on a clay shoot, a sporting clay event. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is we were going to raffle off. We had a gun dealer offering to raffle off an AR-15. Right. And our board actually decided that even though everyone who was coming to our event was going to be shooting sporting clays, they thought that the AR-15 was too politically charged to want to give away one of these guns.
Tell you, this is such a common thing, too, am I right? I mean, you do gun shoots, turkey shoots, TV shoots. The prize is a gun. That's what you do.
Not that gun.
Generally, it's an AR, yeah. Go ahead.
I would like to challenge people's logical consistencies when we talk about government influences, and you talked about the rights versus privileges, and I would like to get your opinions on how that correlates with personal real estate property rights, with planning and zoning commissions and building permits and these things that, you like to say that you shouldn't have to. In your states, you mentioned that you wouldn't have to ask permission for concealed carry.
That's right.
But at the same time, I would like to ask if you would still have to ask permission to build a building on your real estate.
It depends. So in some of the towns in New Hampshire, they have no zoning laws. Thank goodness. Those are the truly freedom-oriented places. There are places in New Hampshire, most of them do have zoning and building restrictions. And I agree with you. That's a clear infringement upon your right to property. You should be able to build whatever it is that you want to build on your property without asking anybody's permission, unless, of course, you've already opted into like a gated neighborhood with zoning restrictions or with deed restrictions, which everybody is consenting to. So if the neighbors are in an agreement, 100%, if the neighbors are in agreements with each other saying you can't have a 3-story house or, a pink house or whatever it is, then that's their choice. That's their property rights to give away. But the government cracks down on people. They destroy property rights. And so I'm against zoning entirely.
Right. And this one's an interesting one to me because I do I'm actually on a planning board, so I deal with this a little bit too. Yeah, but there's two things.
You haven't voted to abolish the planning board yet?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
I do everything I can to do everything like that.
I'm the chairman of said planning and zoning, so
thank you for your service.
Teeter-tottering on this,
because
I first try to find myself to try to be as most consistent as I can with all political, positions. So I just wanted to hear y'all's points on that.
Yeah. My point on this is what planning boards are generally involved in and building permits and things like that. I think when they're done right, is to ensure, if we had to have these things, it's to ensure that one person is not building property on building a building on somebody else's property, ensuring that
well, the
property
neighbor's going
line.
to figure that out real fast. You don't need the government to come
Exactly. Thank you very much, Ian. But that is the perceived service that planning and zoning provides. It ensures that setbacks are maintained, that you're not building too close to this property line, and you're not building a building that's outside the size of a given zoning district. The question people should ask is, do we need any of this stuff in the first place?
No. Thanks, Aaron, for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. As we continue, like I said, if people want to have a bunch of rules to follow, there's plenty of other people who agree with having a bunch of rules to follow. Let them all go live in the same neighborhood, join a neighborhood association with all the other neighborhood Nazis, and have them fight it out over this stupid crap all the time. Let's go to Vaginatarian. She is on the line here from our Discord on-air call-in line room. Hello there. Hello, you're listening to some sort of later delayed feed of the show, and so therefore you are going to be several seconds too late.
Are you there?
When we actually get you on the air. So your last chance here, Vaginatarian, are you with us? Going once, going twice. All right, we're just going to have to say goodnight. There, as we continue, we've got Larry in New Jersey listening to WPG. Go ahead, Larry.
Gentlemen, how are you tonight? I wanted to point out in the Middle Ages, when the plague hit London, the people demanded the government do something. So what they did was they killed every cat and dog in the entire area.
How'd that work out?
So the rat population, of course, exploded, and London was hit particularly difficult.
Just what was carrying the plague in the first place.
Yeah, the rats were carrying the plague. So this is what happens when people demand that the government do something immediately to take care of the situation. So
great example.
If they ban guns, right, the human rats are still going to get the guns.
Very true.
Great point tonight, Larry. Thank you for the call. And let's continue here. We've got Penguin calling from Virginia, listening to WNIS. Go ahead, Penguin.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Short on time, dude. Go fast.
Okay. Hey, I wanted to have some little bit more lighthearted fare. I just want to know, I've listened to the show a long time. Where's the Free Talk Live music come from?
The opening music is Rebel Inc. It is a libertarian heavy metal band. I don't know if that's how they would describe themselves, but pretty hard rock, heavy metal band. Rebel Inc. There's a link to them on our front page at freetalklive.com. If you scroll down, you look at the banner column, you'll see their link there. Great guys. We actually, got their full permission to run their stuff on the air, and it rocks. Thanks for the call tonight. We're out of time. If you didn't get in tonight, we apologize. We're always back every single night, 7 o'clock at night Eastern Time to 10 at night Eastern. You can join us meantime at freetalklive.com.
Do you ever say, I could care less, when you really mean the opposite? You mean to say, I couldn't care less. It's a common mistake. You are judged by how you speak, especially if you're looking for work, with so many more applicants than openings now. But even if you're not, avoiding common misstatements will help you make the most of the dozens of conversations and transactions that crowd your daily routine. So whatever you say, don't say whatever as a single word sentence. It's the most annoying expression in the American English language, according to a recent poll. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. But seriously, at the end of the day, you'll want to avoid this scenario, sounding like everyone else. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Questioning Authority is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, March 24th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.56 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,347 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $18, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,765. Antiwar.com reports the last-minute signing of the $1.3 trillion omnibus spending bill in the U.S. is a big windfall for the Pentagon, who will be getting the majority of the money in the realm of $700 billion. This includes 14 new ships, 28 new helicopters, and 56 of the costly F-35 warplanes. This is part of a $61 billion spending increase over the previous year, and virtually every aspect of the